I'm actually going to send this document to you so that you can see it as well. Let me check what's actually. You know what? Among these email addresses.
Um, yes. Give me a second. I would think it was just his name. Or, sorry, I think it's his name. Let me see.
It did have him. We had got him right, but I'm not sure what that.
Oh, NW?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know the name, but
Oh, okay.
it's just not showing up, so I just want to make sure.
Okay. His email is MMUKAMI.
MMU.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
KAMI.
MI
Mm-hmm.
at Gmail.
Yeah, at Gmail. There you go.
Okay, so when you check your email,
That's your email?
check your email, and see the 3-day orientation document.
3-day orientation documents.
Oh, here it is.
That's next to it. You probably
Okay. So what this is just a
Oh, wait
document.
a minute. That was just a calendar from Naya. I still ain't got yours.
No.
No. She sent it to
Um.
William Palmer too?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's two. I did William Palmer at Life After Next.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it's William. I got it. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the calendar. Right, right.
Yeah, it's William at lifeafternext.org.
Mm.
If there's another one, I could try to send to that.
Okay. Yeah. I look on both of them.
Uh-huh. What's the other one?
William N. Palmer 2. Gmail.
Mwangi won't be here because he's in between classes, but he will watch online.
Well, I just got something 10:39.
Check your
Spam.
spam.
Check spam, because sometimes my email don't like pass.
Right. And you can even try Google Drive and see if it just shows up in the email. Thank you. We'll just try to do our best with this. That's unfortunate. So the first thing is we just want to introduce the program to folks. A big thing is when we did this last time, back in February with the other participants, it really gave everyone a chance to introduce themselves and get connected, learn a little bit more about the program, a little bit more about why we do it, myself personally, as well as YCD. So we're going to talk a little bit about those things and then try our best to progress forward. What we did at that juncture was a 3-day orientation. And so what we'll try to do is definitely condense it, again, focusing on the main things, the most important things. Also understanding that we did cover a number of these things with you guys already, so we don't have to touch on every single thing that we once touched on. But a big thing with the Level Up program was to assist Black nonprofit, small nonprofit leaders in San Francisco in getting technical assistance and capacity building training in order to improve you all's organizations. A big part of that is connecting you all with relevant information to where you are currently, whether that be just starting your nonprofit, about to start your nonprofit, or having had a nonprofit for a number of years. In the last cohorts, we have been struggling between whether or not to make the program simply for people who are just starting or for people who have already started, and divide the two. But it keeps coming back for me personally, the importance of surrounding experienced people with inexperienced people and vice versa. A big part of that, when it has come up in conversation, has been that people who do have experience may not know some of the things that the new people even know, because the new people may be younger, have more of clarity about what is happening currently and ways to do things currently that they did not have the chance to do because they started their organization longer ago and first. And with that being said, there's also information that the older nonprofit leader would have that someone who is just getting started may not know. And so it keeps being this, if you will, tug of war about whether or not to separate the two. But with that being said, one thing we had made a very intentional effort to do is to do our best to cater to each person's needs. In our effort to do that, we have instituted having the weekly connection, weekly check-ins, and in which we talk about what that person is doing currently and what they need help with currently, even if it's different from what other people are desiring and needing at that particular time. That's really important because, one, we didn't do that at the very beginning of the program, When we first started, we just assumed that everyone came for just good information, and we just were dishing out information, right? So we had class every 2 weeks. We didn't do virtual. Everything was in person. And what I started to begin to see towards the end of the cohort was that people were not given what they needed where they were, because we were speaking from the experience of YCD. And YCD, again, has 100+ employees, has been around for about 5 decades, right? And so there's a number of things that we have figured out, instituted, worked on for decades that is not relevant to the person who was just saying, I am trying to figure out, again, how to start this, who is the first person I need to hire, and so forth. Partially, the issue is that the people who are currently working for YCD didn't start YCD, right? So they don't even have the critical information that the founders did, because they weren't the ones who started it. All that to say is I've been, therefore, looking for folks like we've met so far with Terry, with Anthony, and other folks that we've interviewed, and we have their videos on our platforms, are folks who actually started their organizations, who are EDs, but they've been an ED for anywhere from 2 years to 12 years, you know? And so they've went through the thick of it, and they also went through the thick of it recently, right? So these are people who got funded, set up programs, started doing things in their community, and they did it around the same time where Facebook was happening, Instagram, Twitter, and now we got, you know, Snapchat and TikTok and all these things. All that to say is that I try to make sure that the information is relevant, and as we talk, especially on the one-on-ones, is an effort to go, okay, I'm hearing what you're saying, who can speak to you given the people that I know, but also who are the people I need to look for to speak to these people and speak to the participants directly. So when we do have our one-on-ones and when we do have our trainings, one thing I do emphasize is asking questions, is letting us know, this is what I don't know, this is what I'm struggling with, this is what is hard for me, because I then have an idea of, okay, let me try to get someone who has that specific information. When we first started, every speaker was an employee of YCD, and as time progressed, I started to pull in more and more people from the community that weren't employees of YCD, because I knew that these are the people who actually started their own organization. All that to say is, please ask questions, please engage us. If you don't hear something that you need to hear, if you heard a whole lot and it still isn't exactly what you need to hear, ask for it and ask questions, because I will do my best to find these people. When it comes to our origin story, it's quite simple. We started it back in 2022 with Mr. Waters, and wanted to have a program that allowed nonprofit leaders in the community to get some type of training to start their organizations. Partially because the idea that we felt was floating around was that YCD was large and in charge, and honestly didn't care about people trying to get started. They were just worried and connecting with the folks who were already well established. And so what we wanted to do is make a very conscious effort to reach out to the community and give them support, to let them know, hey, this is how we got here, this is how long it took to get here, this is what it took to get here, and so we want to share this information rather than just keep it to ourselves. So when it comes to what to expect, what we have been doing is doing quizzes weekly. We have been instituting those via Google Classroom. And so we have sent out emails to everyone by now about joining our Google Classroom and sending and completing assigned quizzes and our assignments. So with that being said, definitely continue to engage that. One other thing that we have been wanting to do and are doing is trying to engage folks on Google Classroom to connect outside of the classroom. So one thing that we have struggled with is having people stay connected outside of the classroom and continue building these relationships. So what we want to do is to make sure that people are still communicating on Google Classroom without being in the classroom, and so we will try to find our ways to incentivize that and encourage folks to do that. In fact, I talked with Naya yesterday. Terry, who came here 2 weeks ago, he actually spoke and he said that he's going to be having a conference in July, late July. And in late July, he will be inviting some major speakers on entrepreneurship from around the country, some of which I have personally met and seen in person as well, and some I have not. All that to say is that he does have events, and other people have events that I want to encourage people to go to. So I did send the link, or Naya sent the link to Google Classroom yesterday. So if you guys can check that at your earliest convenience to see, oh, this is what they were talking about, this is the cost of it, whatever it may be. But I do want people to be aware, just like in Longing let us know a couple weeks ago, this is what I have going on. If you guys can show up, if you guys have time, if you guys are in the area, come and support, come and see what we have going on. And that's an opportunity for us to, again, network outside of the classroom, get connected, support one another in very tangible ways, and continue to build on these relationships. Because that can be one of the best parts of joining, because once the program is over, you can still be connected, and they can join other programs, or they can have good information from other places, and we can share that information with one another because we stayed in contact. So definitely take the time to get connected with one another on Google Classroom. Right here it has support systems and it says Mighty Networks, but Mighty Networks is one that we've been struggling to get people on, but hopefully we'll have more success with Google Classroom. The book club. So we do read one book at a time. We agreed at the beginning of the cohort to read one chapter at a time, and so currently we just are starting the book Atomic Habits, and we finished Raya Wong's Get That Money Honey. And so definitely going to continue with that. Looking forward to talking about that and giving a little quiz about that tomorrow, so that we all can continue to keep up on with the reading, but also sharing what we're gathering from the reading with one another, so that we can all make progress together. What do we expect? So these are a couple of things. What do we expect? What do we have? What do they need to have? So a cell phone. A cell phone would be essential. On that cell phone, we would love for everyone to have Instagram specifically, and or TikTok, and I bring those up because those are some of the newest platforms in which people are getting a lot of attention, whereas Snapchat and even Facebook is, again, one in which the membership isn't growing as rapidly as those two other platforms right now. But Instagram, nonetheless, is a very valid and important app to have on everyone's phone. A good camera on your phone, so if your camera's broken, please look into finding ways to use a good camera, because we do want you guys to shoot your videos. We do want you guys to improve at shooting your own videos, and part of that would be having a good camera. Laptop or an iPad, a tripod for holding the phones would be useful. We did have Terry come by, and if anyone can remember, Terry had a tripod right here in the front of the classroom, so he was recording himself while he was talking, because he could use that for content, just like if we were to do the same thing, we could use these things for content. And to that point, we have a camera right here. When we have speakers, like Tavari, who came here last week, if you guys look on the Level Up Instagram page, you'll see snippets of Tavari speaking, Terry speaking, Anthony speaking, myself speaking, because we do recognize the importance of sharing this information, not only about the program, but about running your own nonprofit, and also not just for the sake of having followers, so to speak, but honestly to get this information out to people who said, I wanted to join, but I couldn't, right? Same thing with the reason why we post these videos on YouTube. People say, man, for instance, can I join the program? Sure, where do you live? Let's throw out San Lorenzo. Sorry, this is for San Francisco residents. Dang, well, I would love to get that information still. Perfect, it's on Instagram, it's on YouTube, right? So while we can't assist folks who aren't in San Francisco and from San Francisco, we can still spread this information to folks via the internet and social media on those two apps. And so we encourage folks to do the same, right, with your stuff, to make your own videos, to share your own content, to get that stuff out there, because you never know, one, who wants to hear it, two, who needs to hear it, three, who would potentially be a great client for you, or someone that would actually literally help you with your organization because they love what you're doing. We would also love for you guys to have access to a printer, and that's again when we have documents like this, like contracts and so forth. What you would need to know: proficient in Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel. So those things will just be helpful in being able to write down information, keep track of information, and so forth. Reliable transportation, that has not been an issue, fortunately. But sometimes it does come up, right? Somebody's like, oh, I had a car, or my car is all right, but the car did this today. Things like that, we do want to make sure that people are able to meet in person, whether it's raining or not. Canva. Canva is a graphic design app that is great for making flyers. You mentioned flyers the other day. Making flyers, making posts, whether it's on Instagram or TikTok, whatever it is. Canva can help with that. And same thing with Facebook too. It helps with that as well. Proficiency in virtual meetings, so just knowing how to use the different apps. We are currently using StreamYard, which is a little different than Zoom, and we intentionally employ that because it's different, because it's a little harder to access. We do want people to be aware and have experience with different types of apps, because you never know when you would actually like to use those, or when somebody would want you to use it themselves on their platform and you may struggle with it. So we want to get people acclimated to apps that aren't as standard as Zoom or Google Meets. The YouTube app, so again, we have the videos on YouTube. We have sent out playlists as well for all of those past trainings. And this, in terms of time, I've literally put 10 hours a week. So I put 10 hours a week because we do meet 2 hours a week, roughly, every week. So maybe that's 3 hours on Thursday. But when it comes to Monday through Saturday, I bring up 10 hours because when talking with Candace Elder, who runs the East Oakland Collective, she was saying that she spends at least like an hour or so on social media every single day. Again, posting, commenting, replying to comments, replying to direct messages. And I bring that up only because that would be a good use of our time, whether it is using that time for social media, or using that time to read the book that we're reading currently, or using that time to look at some of the trainings that we have already recorded so that you all can gather that information that we recorded in the past year. So with that being said, I do want to just encourage folks on between Monday and Friday, if you don't have time set aside to read already, if you don't have time set aside to look at videos already, if you don't have time set aside to work on social media already, set aside that time for yourself just to say, you know what, I want to sit down or stand up, whatever I want to do for this hour and handle some of these things that I could be doing in this class, whether it's the reading, whether it's the videos, whether it's the posting on social media, or doing other type of research on YouTube, again, relevant to getting your nonprofit started or moving forward. What do they need to do? Complete assignments on time and connect with their partners about the work. So a big thing, especially because we are bringing people into the program a little later, more than I need you guys to do it all on time, is I want you all to be aware that we want you guys to, one, complete the assignments for your own sake, and then two, connect with one another about the work. So I definitely want to encourage people, again, to participate and to connect with each other. Who is the program for? Full and part-time executive directors of nonprofit organizations. Where do they need to go? Of course, 150 Executive Park Boulevard. When does it start? And that was February 13th was the first day. But for you all, it was more closer to the beginning of April. What will they be assigned and why? So, assignments will be general and case specific. Meaning we do have the book was for everybody, The quizzes are for everybody, but when we do our discussions each week about our specific SMART goals, those are to be honestly approached like assignments that you guys say that you're going to do that week so that you all are doing what needs to be done for your organization. And so when we talk about SMART goals each week, we check in and we also go, hey, what are you going to do this week? Think long and hard about, hey, this is what I want to accomplish. Now, it may not be easy for me to accomplish it. It may not be fast and quick, but at least I can get this ball rolling so that by, again, the end of the program, I can say I made tangible progress with my organization. Report cards will be issued. We're still working on that, but report cards will be issued. So we do want to help people understand, like, hey, this is how it's all going for you. Do you need more help? Do you need more suggestions? How is it all working? But we'll be working on that, and I would say probably presenting something like that towards the end of the month. Attendance should be at least 75%. You need to be available enough to complete the program. Please consider your workflow, personal life, and important upcoming events and deadlines for the people that join. Consider the weather and your comfortability with the weather. And that was specific because of not this winter, but the last winter, which was like 13 months ago. That was horrible, and it rained us out, and it made it dangerous to drive and dangerous to walk. Trees were falling, buildings were, windows were breaking, all that stuff. So we definitely wanted to be very cautious moving forward that the weather can be a huge deterrent for people being present at class. At the end of our time together, we want to reward each participant with a stipend as well as an opportunity to fundraise for themselves. And that is super important right now because of the graduation will need to be at the end of June, and that is literally less than 2 months away. So what we want to do is make sure that we are on top of our assignments, but really preparing for the graduation. At that time, we want people to be able to present their organization, say this is what I do, this is what we need, this is what we're working on, this is where we're going with our organization, and that will be greatly assisted by one of our first assignments, which is down here at the bottom of the page, which is the one-pager. Let me say leave the one before that. The final assignment will be held in June and will consist of a slideshow presentation of your organization and the work you have completed while in the Level Up program. So, in the beginning, it's all good. I'm trying to figure out what I need to do, what I want to do. But as we get closer to the graduation, it's like, we need you to have said, I did something here. And that is really going to be on you guys. And not on you guys in the sense of like, it doesn't matter to us and we won't help you, but from the sense of like, we're going to continue to ask you literally every single week, what are you going to do and what are you going to, what have you done already? So that each week you can say, I'm making progress, I'm making progress. So that by the time of graduation comes, it's like, well, because I was here, because we were on top of each other, because we helped one another, I accomplished this, 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 and this. And I'm looking forward to doing this after I'm done with the organization. Done with this program. The graduation will be the same day that you present your final assignment. Now, this idea came from me being in a part of an entrepreneurial program in which we had to do a final assignment. And at first, it was all chill and we're just soaking up information. And slowly but surely, it was like, all right, so in order for you guys to be done with the program, you guys have to complete a final assignment, and you're going to show what you did during the during our program. And you don't have to show it literally step by step as I completed all these tasks, but you can produce this event, produce this outcome to demonstrate what you completed while you're in the program. So when that happened to me, I joined that program. At the end of the program, towards the end of the program, they were like, okay, you guys gotta have a final assignment. What are you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna host a book release. And so I connected with somebody who helped me to put my poetry into a book, which was not free, but I went to them and got all my poetry put in the book. We went through that process, and he helped me get them at my place, set up a, what is it called? connected with somebody who had a venue. We set up a date and time, got some people to come and perform and show up and all that stuff. We had refreshments and photographer and all this stuff. All that to say is that I really made sure to present something at the end. So I really want you guys to think not just small, but think big. If you want to really demonstrate what you were able to accomplish here, or what the future of your organization looks like, you might want to put on your own event. But at the same time, we could also use this event as an opportunity to share a number of those things. And we can be creative. We can be, we can be creative and find ways to make our presentation particularly good and interesting, demonstrating what we do and what we plan to do with our organization. So definitely don't think small, because you don't have to. If you want to do something really creative and like, all right, this would be my way of doing this, and outside of the box, please feel free to be outside of the box. Do it your own way, if you want to do it in a bigger way. But let's just communicate about it so that it's clear what you want to do and how you're going to do it, so that it's all within the program's grasp, if you will. Okay, so one-pager assignment. This is a chance to share about your nonprofit organization. Your one-pager should include the following: name of your organization, mission and value statements, mission and vision statements, sorry, origin story, current budget versus ideal budget, current facility versus ideal facility, current staffing versus ideal staffing, current programs versus ideal future programs, current number of clients, so on and so forth, and current demographics of your clientele and ideal demographics. So all of that to say is that we did have an example, and I actually try to pull this up in a second, of someone that did a one-pager for us. We did one-pagers on the last cohort, and we had someone really give us a great, if you will, display of all of this. Now, her one-pager, it was a slideshow, and it probably had about 18 slides, which is a whole lot of slides. However, it was nonetheless very thorough, and we were very pleased with the fact that she not only did that, but she did create a one-pager that she literally had a page for that was just this size, and it just had all the information, and it was graphics, and it had all of the information about what she needed in terms of funds, when she wanted it by, where they're at currently with their funding, where the funding would go to, what program she wants to have, and same thing, what demographics does she want to serve, who is she reaching out towards, all these different things. And this is just an opportunity, one, for us to build our website, one, because we can have very complex websites, or we can have a great one-pager website. People log on to it, get a hold of us through it, but they see who we are. This is supported by the book we just read, Rhea Wong's Get That Money Honey, and what she was talking about, keeping your website simple and allowing it to be one page and containing the information that we deem to be most important about what they need to hear, and one of which is, how do we donate? How do we contribute? How do we participate? And those types of things should also be included on the one pager. With that being said, I have seen maybe two, maybe three one-pagers so far. So I definitely want to encourage you, William, but also everyone else who's watching or will be watching this, to complete the one-pager. That's if you have a website or not. I still want to see the one-pager. It still may inform your website if you already have a website, but if you don't, it can also inform your website as well about how to create it and what it could look like. Because, again, a big part of what we want to demonstrate on our websites is not just what we do, but we also want to have a call to action for anyone who is amped up, excited, inspired by our work to go, how do I contribute? They can find out a way. If they want to volunteer, they can find out a way. So make sure that that is also, again, included on either your website or your one-pager, I do know, Naya, we did have Maria's slide deck.
Yeah.
Do you know where, should it be like in the drive somewhere?
It's in the Google Calendar, but I can put it into the orientation. So
you're gonna have to wait.
Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can put it on that page and just edit that. And again, I'll show you this a little bit about what Maria did. This is our last cohort. And we did have a few more other people who did theirs, but Maria's was specifically thorough and particularly informative, and even the way that it looks is just really appealing too. And so we want to definitely consider that. William, do you have any questions about anything while we get this set up?
I just know that got some work to do.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that's like even though it's hard and it's not always easy, it is part of the fun part of it all, is being like, okay, I got to get on top of this stuff. And honestly, when I was putting together this book and all this stuff, I was super concerned. I didn't know how it was going to come out. Honestly, the way that the book release event went, I wish that it went better. But I am glad that I at least attempted, took a swing at it, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I did get to sell some books. I did get to take some pictures. I did get to perform and all these different things. That was all cool and all.
What did you perform?
Spoken word poetry. Yeah. And so I started doing that honestly in high school, but never really put it into book form. Honestly, still feel like I'm still learning about that whole thing of like publishing a book and advertising and what they would call honestly like tours. People usually go on tours when they do book releases. And honestly, that happened 2018, maybe 4 or 5 months before the pandemic. And so little did I know, because I was actually starting to think, okay, maybe I could like go other places and do this like and get other people, blah, blah, blah. And right when all that started to cross my mind, it all started to fall apart in terms of the pandemic. And so when the pandemic hit, everything that was fun and outside was being shut down. But I just wanted to show you guys this. Let me see. Okay, cool. So her organization was Black Maria, and she wanted to have a micro cinema, and she's going to explain that more in here later. But this is a quote: "Freedom dreaming for a better world, we must first imagine it." Gives a little background of who she is, where she's from, her experience, her education, biggest projects that she's worked on, such like that. History, if you will, of micro cinema. So this is her just getting into the history of micro cinema, explaining that some, getting more so into what the demographics are of what has happened since then with our micro cinema, and how she wants to work on that and address that, because only so many people are Black that are in the film industry, much less Black-owned movie houses. Defining micro cinema. This is her presenting Black storytelling value proposition. So this is the facility that she wants to be able to have, and this is the number of seats. This is how many movies that they would do per week, how much they would want to charge. This would be like a membership that they're actually having. So again, she's kind of fleshing out her ideas so that it's very clear to anyone who wants to either participate in or contribute to the organization. What the offer is, memberships, the services, screen and theater, current offerings and the things that they're doing right now, and things that they want to do in the future. A timeline, right? So right now it's 2024. She's saying, okay, so people, this is what we're trying to do right now. Next year, this is what we're also trying to do. So this is for the people who want to contribute. They're like, we want to help you out, but what are you even trying to do? What's the goal? She's like, here are the goals. This is what we want to do. These are the partners, potential partners. Network of Black and radical micro cinemas in North America. So these are some folks that she's connected with, again, around the country. Another example of a micro cinema. And revenue streams, so thinking about ways that they could make money and how people, when they do participate by giving into the organization, where it can go, right? Where's your money going? How can this be, if you will, a return on your investment? Understanding it's a nonprofit, people may not be expecting funds in return, but at least they're wanting to have some type of impact, and they're wanting people to participate in something that is very clear and that's going to have an impact on the community. And again, this is just an opportunity for them to see this is what we're looking to do in the near future. Budget, right? So again, what we ideally want. If we have the lease space, we want to have $100K for that. Creative director, that person would cost, that's a part-time person, that person would cost $40,000 per year. Operations and renovation will be 10 and 15K. All of that to say, flesh it all out. And this is honestly a QR code if you wanted to donate or to become an ambassador. So again, that's 18 slides. That's a lot. We're not asking for 18 slides, but if you do have the opportunity to create these slides and work on these things for yourself, again, for the opportunity to pitch your organization. So this is the twofold part of that. If you create your one-pager will allow you to say, hey, this is my organization, and I'm going to do this for this assignment at YCD. But if you say, if I use this assignment as an opportunity to create a slide deck, then you can use your slide deck wherever there's a pitch competition. Now, pitch competitions aren't every single day or every single week. However, there are pitch competitions in which people are awarded money for presenting their organization effectively. With that being said, I did attend one last year that was held by Cohort, and that one was really good. And they did have cash prizes for people who participated and presented their organization and our business very well. So just know that there are those things that do happen here in San Francisco, and it would behoove you to just have some type of slide deck for your organization so that you can effectively present it if the opportunity ever arises for you to participate in a pitch competition. So honestly, those are the super big things. I think the only other thing that we really haven't covered that we would need to is the Smart Goal portfolio, in which honestly a lot of people have either gotten started with or finished. And this can be done, of course, digitally on your laptop or on your phone. But we do want you all to have SMART goals, plans that you have specifically, again, to complete during the program. Again, this should also contribute greatly to the final assignment. So if your plan is to either host an event or participate at our event and give a great presentation and have, I don't know, examples. When I first think about pitch competitions or presenting our organization, I think about having scenarios, having individuals that we've already impacted or that we seek to impact to speak about the things that we do with them or for them or have done for them. Those are always great examples, but also having some type of what's that called? Again, creative expression of how your organization is planning and will intend to have an impact on the community that you serve. Let's see. That is the bulk of that part. I think that with regard to the SMART goals, have you done your SMART goals, William Palmer?
Did we work on that? No. Did we work on SMART goals or we worked on just weekly goals?
The SMART goals, we talked about it, but it wasn't the actual paper specifically.
Mm-hmm.
It was just talking about more of what happened in the week.
Right, and that sounds good. Let me see if I can. because this is all in an effort to help each other, help you all to move forward. Not just in the program, but with your organization. And so we ask people to have a SMART goal portfolio in which, right, and this is also in the binder, but in which we will have a cover page, table of contents, autobiography, which honestly is just like a short bio, your SMART goals, your resume, what is that? This is an acronym, and then 2 journal entries. The biggest thing I want is having a good professional photo. So honestly, this is an opportunity if you don't have a great professional photo to seek out means by which you can get one. Naya here is a photographer herself as well, and so we encourage people, if you guys do need any type of headshot, that you can also consult Naya about doing that. And so this questionnaire just goes through, again, a little bit about your bio. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you stand for? When you were a youth, what did you want to do? Why are your values, morals, etc. Important to you? And where do you live, and so forth. Describe your neighborhood and who lives in your community. So SMART goals being an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So what that simply means is that when we are dreaming, we often have dreams that aren't specific, they're not measurable, they're probably not attainable. They may be attainable, honestly. They may be relevant to what we're currently doing, but they may or may not be time-bound. So when we have a goal, what allows us to be effective is for them to at least pass these 5 criteria. One of the big things that I've learned is that relevant goals are super important. And I bring that up because it's really hard for us to accomplish something else that we're not currently accomplished, that's not relevant to what we're currently accomplishing at this moment. What I'm thinking about is how we may say things like, I really want to, let's say, get in shape. However, if you are pregnant at the moment, this is probably not the best time to try to get in shape, right? Because what you have going on currently is going to cross paths directly with what that goal is. And there are other examples of that, right? Someone would say, oh man, like I really want to have, I really maybe want to go back to school. And he goes, okay, that sounds good and fine. Does your life allow for that? Does what you're already doing, is that relevant to you being able to go back to school? Do you have the time, the means? Do you have the space to study, so on and so forth? And that may or may not be the case. And so it goes, let's make sure that your life is aligned in such a way that that goal isn't off your path. It is currently attainable, going back to that one, attainable, given what you are already doing. Is it relevant to your current life? And so attainable, that means, is it something that you can actually, one, quantify, but I'm really thinking, is it realistic, right? Now, it's not terrible to aim for unrealistic things. I can cite quotes of folks who said I was not being realistic when I aimed for this, but I got it anyways. So definitely do unrealistic things. But when it comes to being attainable, all that we're saying is there a chance that this can actually happen because of where you live or what you're doing and what you currently do with all of your time? Or is it just a pipe dream, right? Is it something that is completely out of your range, that is not even happening around here? You're talking about Hollywood stuff and you're nowhere near Hollywood. You're talking about, joining, becoming part of the NBA, and you are not even in college, right? Or high school, right? Or on the basketball team, right? So we have to make sure that these things are attainable because we are in a situation that allows us to be realistic. Measurable is really important because sometimes we say things like I want to be rich or I want to be successful, And that is very broad, and while we can imagine what that means, we have to be able to pin down what exactly that looks like. If we want to say, I want to be rich, how much money does a rich person have? What does that look like to you? If you're saying that you want to be famous, okay, what does that look like to you? How many people are supposed to be on your, let's say, following you on social media? How people are supposed to notice you? What are they going to notice you for? What are you going to do in order to build your fame and or fortune to be rich and famous? Now, when it comes to setting up a nonprofit organization, you may be thinking, okay, I really just want to make sure that my nonprofit is established. Now, that's a very reasonable goal, actually, because you can't establish your nonprofit organization, but we want to get measurable and go, okay, what does that mean exactly? Do you want to have your board of directors? Do you want to have your 501c3 status? Do you want to have everything filled out so that you are ready to set up a program? Do you want to already have a program? Do you want to have a fiscal sponsor, right? So it's all about figuring out what exactly that means for you so that you can start getting those things going, rather than saying, well, if I just want to be rich and famous or I just want to be successful, I don't even know where to start because it's not really specific enough for me to actually know what to do. So when we get specific, then we actually know exactly what we're talking about doing, and we can really get things going. And when it comes to time bound, we start saying, I want to do this by this time. And this is really important because sometimes we say things like, I want to make this happen, but I don't know when I want to make it happen. I just want to make it happen. And if we have no sense of urgency, we may never get around to it. Or if we have a very short period of time in order to accomplish it, we may find ourselves saying, oh my gosh, I don't have the time to actually dedicate to make this happen this fast. So when we are asking for something to be time bound, we're saying, hey, make sure that you actually put a date on it. This is also important because this could help us to change lanes, change gears, whatever that we want to say about that, if something isn't working, right? That may encourage us to go, hey, I said I was going to do this within 3 months, and it didn't happen within 3 months, and so what do I need to change? Do I need to change the goal, or do I need to change my strategy? Do I need to change the goal, or do I need to change something else in order to make this more accomplishable? Do I need to take a class? Do I need to read some books? Do I need to look for a mentor? Do I need to, find somebody who can coach me? Do I need more help in order to actually accomplish this? But if we just say something, I want to accomplish this sometime, somewhere, we will very rarely come to a point where we say, I need help, because it's not happening. Because you gave yourself 10 years to handle it. You gave yourself forever to reach it, and because you did that, you are never going, well, it's too late now, or maybe I'm doing something wrong. So making it time bound will also help for being part of the program, saying, hey, I want to do this by the end of June, but also saying, hey, if I want to do this, I want to make this happen, so that I know if I try my best and it doesn't happen, I know what I could possibly change to make things better so that I can accomplish it maybe in another 3-month period or more. So we're just going right now, Nancy, over the SMART goals and how important they are, one, but then two, what the specific, what the acronym means, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So that when we're writing something down, when we say we got the SMART goal, we know that we're talking about measurements, we're talking about dates and times, we're also talking about being very specific. I went through this a little bit with one of the participants this week, and there were some numbers in there, which are great because we need numbers in order to be time bound. We need numbers in order for it to be measurable. But one of those numbers has to be a date. We have to have some sort of date when it comes to time bound. And when it comes to measuring things, we also have to have a starting point. So if we're going to say, hey, I want to increase this by 15%, or I want to do this and get 20 more people, well, let's start where you are. What is the number that you're at? Are you at 5? Are you at 2%? Are you at 7%? Okay, so if you want to add 15% to that, then you're saying you want to meet this number. When we're talking about funding, oh, I want to get this much money. Let's put a number on it so that we know what we're looking for, because honestly, there's mini grants, there's really small grants, and there's larger grants. And especially when we're talking about budgets, we may want to have a good amount of money to work with rather than just enough money to work with. And so we want to be very conscious about what type of numbers we're aiming for, so that we're aiming for numbers that can really help us in the long run, rather than just saying, well, I would just like to have one grant that just gives me at least, $5,000, which is great, but that also is a very small number in the broader scheme of things. So I did speak to Mwangi about this a couple of weeks ago. He did send in his resume, show me his resume, and show me some things from his website that fulfill a number of these different requirements, but we didn't do the SMART goals specifically. All that to say is that we do want to do these SMART goals for your own sake, so you just have some marching orders, what you're trying to do while you're here in the program, what you're trying to learn, what you're trying to accomplish, so that we're all actually making some strides to move forward, rather than getting a bunch of information, because we will give you information, getting a bunch of talks and a bunch of connections, but leaving the program going, I still don't know what I'm going to do. I still don't know what I need to accomplish. I didn't actually accomplish a whole lot because I wasn't really sure, what I needed to accomplish. And so in an effort to help you all leave the program with something tangible, we say, let's set some SMART goals, set SMART goals that you can get a lot out of, so that when you leave, you don't say, yeah, I didn't really get much out of that. That's the last thing we want you guys to say. We want you to say, man, I was able to do this and I didn't think I could do that. I set this goal, I didn't even know if it was that tangible, and they helped me and we helped each other so that I was able to accomplish this with their assistance, right? Like I said, same thing what I did with the book release. I did not imagine myself doing that, but they pushed me, they encouraged me, and they said, hey, you can do it, we'll help you figure it out, but you have to set a goal. Once you set a goal, we can get some things really going. So that definitely is applicable to everyone. So in terms of you, Nancy, were you able, did you fill out a SMART goal portfolio? Did you start? Did you even get to see it?
I did, but I feel like my stuff is just like all over. Like I have a bio. I've done like so much. Where I have a non-profit for breast cancer awareness, which is 501c3 registered verified.
Oh my.
And that, if you Google my name, that is what I'm known with. But the African one, I started because of a personal experience and just saw how we are not part of the community. And that's why it's called it Kijiji, means village in Swahili.
Right.
With the other non-profit, honestly, I never went to any class to learn how to set up a non-profit. Was just, everything was on YouTube.
Right.
Just learning on the go, a lot of mistakes. So with Kijiji, I was able to set it up like real quick because of what I did with the other one. But the other one is like I dropped it because of fundraising efforts, and I'm like, why am I? And I still ask myself, I'm like, why am I struggling with funding? And then looking at the funded non-profit that get funded and what they deliver, pains my heart to see how much effort they put. But these are the non-profit, they are funded because they have a lot of clarity in their messaging. They have, they're more organized, which wasn't, and that is the same hurdle that I'm getting. I was able to fundraise like $1,500. I have a website. Now there's somebody who's like, hey, I can offer Swahili. So I feel like my issue, and that's why I wanted like a one-on-one, is program clarity.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see, even this person was like, hey, I'm ready to help you, pay a grant writer if you need, because they've seen my work.
Right.
Yeah, so now I'm at a place where like everything is everywhere. And then I hate micromanaging, so if you tell me to get like volunteers and whatever, so I like doing the bigger things. Right now I'm pushing the city, they're about to approve the sister city.
Mhm.
And with the sister city, it's gonna open a lot of avenues. So managing volunteers, I'd prefer someone else to manage them.
Right, right.
I'd prefer talking to donors to get the money and
Right.
then trickle it down to the programs.
Uh-huh.
The grant writer, the one we've been using, she's like, hey, I'll charge you $2,500 for 2 grants a month. And I'm like, where am I getting that money?
Right.
And then the thing is, what about if they don't get the money? If we don't get the grant, we still have to pay the 25, and then they're justified.
Right.
They're like, it takes a lot of time to write the grants.
Right.
So I feel like I'm stuck.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I feel like I'm stuck on, moving. The website is there, need a whole, clarity. I had just put a few of the resources. We have all the resources. These business owners who need to open businesses, workforce development, all that. But there's no organization. I feel like I'm just everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, and even if I do my resume, I have done it's just like, if you're looking for a job, I've been a property manager all my life.
Uh-huh.
And then the nonprofit, I did it out of my mom's story, losing my mom to breast cancer. And I made quite an impact. I realized I'm more of an activist. And now because I'm so sick with the city, I think I'm more of an abolitionist. Yeah, and so I don't know, I'm just trying to figure myself out, trying to figure out, what is the Kijiji. The president is coming next in 2 weeks. I think I was with William last year when he came, I invited him.
Uh-huh.
And now he's coming again. He's coming to Washington, D.C. And I'm one of the delegates. And what am I going to do with all these opportunities?
Right.
Yeah, if we send you to go to the website, there's no clarity.
Right.
Yeah, so now that I have someone who is ready to offer Swahili, and then with the sister city, think about all these black kids we want to take to Kenya. They need a little bit of Swahili.
Right.
Because I saw how sister city of Japan, San Francisco, Osaka, they take some kids here, but you have to know Japanese.
Right.
So, and I'm like, all these African American kids should be speaking a little bit of Swahili. We don't want our kids to learn Chinese. They should be speaking a little bit of our African language.
Right.
So that's a value added, and the guy is a teacher. He's very passionate about it. The school right now, I don't know why San Francisco is bragging about closing schools. Maybe there's private developers who want to set up, apartments in those schoolyards.
Wow.
But, they're not talking about why people are moving out of San Francisco. And I find myself, I don't know, maybe it's a calling. Last week I was with a Kenyan guy who worked with the city of Palo Alto for 40 years. Do you know what he's doing? He's been compiling a documentary of African Americans who are gentrified from Fillmore, Potrero Hill, Potrero and Hunters Point, Bayview, and they moved to East Palo Alto.
Right.
And a lot of them, most of them are dead. Some of them are still there. And he's been doing this for the last 5 years. He's been compiling stories of how the city lured them to sell their Victorian homes, leave their Victorian home, and they were given homes with a backyard. And they were just looking at these opportunities, and the real estate guys made a lot of money. And, they miss San Francisco, but they cannot come back. They were given certificate of preference. That certificate of preference, trying to move back here, you're just going to be put in the tenderloin. You cannot just come and say, I want to live in Park Heights, I want to live in Russian Hill. It's bullshit. This is why when I was going for these reparations for the African Americans, and they're like, you're not African American, why are you here? And I'm like, I'm adding my black face to the little percentage that is here, but they're not looking at the bigger picture. And then I'm like, why don't we reach out to those African Americans in East Palo Alto, in Enio, Concord, Stockton, to all come and be part of the reparations. It's just the black people who are never paid.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to give it to the gatekeepers and the people who are spearheading this. Can you imagine if they shared stories of those African Americans who are gentrified in East Palo Alto, and now they're in a big house with a backyard. And still in East Palo Alto, they were still gentrified. Now they have more Latinos there.
Wow.
You know, I mean, it's a very sad story, and nobody's following up with that. This Kenyan guy, he's been there because there's a lady called Wangari Maathai. I don't know if you know her. She won the Nobel Prize. She was an environmentalist, and she stood for the trees. And in my country, we talk about trees. Trees communicate with the roots. So you see, like wealthy neighborhoods, they don't even have security guards. They plant trees and say this is for security, or whatever. And then, so she planted trees in Palo Alto, and she passed on. And that neighborhood, the park where whatever, just a little park, and we're trying to see how we can tell the city of East Palo Alto to name it after her. But then his major thing was like, I wish we did this when there was more black people. Right now there's more Latinos. Do you think they will agree? And I said, why would they say no? Because right now it doesn't have a name. Why would you object to a name after an environmentalist? Like, but look at the race. You know. And then I was still arguing here and saying, I don't know, I think I look at things very critical. And people are not willing to go down the rabbit hole. I said, why do we have Chinese in the film or doing nail shops, and I can't have a barber shop in Chinatown?
Right. Oh, that's a gem.
So, you see,
That's a gem.
right?
I know
And
what
it's
you're
not
talking
fair.
about.
This is not their country.
Right. That
So-
is very real.
So with this, so the guy to ask me, Nancy, this is not profit. And when I did it, I said, okay, we're just gonna offer resources for the African diaspora. But then, yes, San Francisco will be like, are you discriminating? So if there's an Asian or a white person who comes for you or whatever, you're not gonna offer because you're serving the African diaspora. So there's a whole catch-22. Someone will be like, oh, you have to be inclusive. And I'm like, no, I wanna serve my people. You have this skin color, you are my clientele, but then I'm gonna be told I'm discriminating.
Right.
But they do it in this country that was built by black people.
Yeah.
And there's the Latino task force. They have the Arabs task force. They have the China progressive, there's the Asian task force.
Yeah.
Right now you touch somebody like Stop Asian Hate. Where is the Stop Black Hate?
Right.
How much money is trickling down into our community?
Right.
So every day I just wake up angry. I say, I don't want to be a philanthropist. I want to be an abolitionist. Where you gotta do this like legally. I want to see black people in Chinatown. If I have a problem, then I need to go back to their country.
Right.
Because we need, they cannot come and mark a territory in other people who are suffering, and now they're the ones who are controlling the city. Amos Brown calls me. He's like, oh, we need people to vote for London Bridge. Like, yes, but what is she doing for the African diaspora? We are here. Is she concentrating on our votes? All these Ethiopians, Eritreans, they've segregated themselves. So this trickling back, this Kenyan guy, he's our teacher. He was telling me he's retired now. He's teaching black kids how to play golf. And he wants the kids to get into sports that they can be able to network with the wealthy. And once they learn how to play, we teach them how to network. How do you approach this wealthy guy and request for money? And not go with the slave mentality, victimhood, just like I need $10 million because I want to do this and this. And I'm like, I like that. I'm like,
Sign me up.
Huh?
I don't know how to play golf.
He said, so what are you gonna?
I actually know how to play golf. I just want to get into the
Yeah,
program.
so he put a lot of he opened my eyes a lot, and he said, when you're doing this nonprofit, what is your legacy in another 50 years? So it goes back to the SMART goal. So I've been struggling, Because you see, I've been conditioned how to do this one thing, but now it's the whole critical thinking of what is the end goal. I'm like, okay, a lot of nonprofit, they offer this, they offer housing, da 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 da. But you know what? So we want to create programs that are specific for these black kids. Even one guy told him, let's focus on these kids who've been in foster homes, in kids who've been in jail, whatever. When they're locked up, what discipline are they learning there?
Yeah.
They're actually coming out more traumatized.
Right.
So how about we talk with the city? These kids, they don't need to go to jail. We take them to Africa. Number one, they're gonna be safe from gun violence. Nobody will follow you to Africa with a gun trying to shoot you or whatever. But here they're always on eggshells, because of gun-related stuff. Come back and make the world a better place. Then you have changed that kid who'll be surrounded by parents. They're gonna be surrounded by a village where in Africa you're disciplined by everybody.
Right.
In fact, if I had a mom who'd be like, oh, I have your kid stealing in Target and I whipped you, that I'm like, good.
Right.
And I see you.
I've heard.
Yeah. So,
I got a solution to some of the things that you've been saying. Since you can't discriminate,
yeah.
get by that, you get past that, you targeted the things that only black people suffer from.
Right.
And that's what you say, I'm here to solve this. Who's gonna come for that? Are the people who suffer from that, which is majority black. So the number one thing that you can get people who are only black that suffer from and nobody else,
Yeah.
black people are the only people on the face of the planet that don't have a nationality. If you say that you want to give black people what the white government took away from their ancestors, you don't have to say the word black. Just say, when the United Redskins ain't coming. They already know where they from. The only people who can come to your service, and then when they come there, you offer all those things that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And the way you get around to bring San Francisco. Working with someone, but I wanted to develop an app called Buy Black Back SF. So every time a property comes available, or a home comes available, like you have those preferable certificates, we link those people up with homes, or multi-complexes, so you get as many people coming back. And once you come back and you have property, then you can start rearranging yourself to stay. This is a 20-year plan, a 50-year plan, a 100-year plan. This isn't a 1-year plan. This isn't a couple-week plan. We have to think long range. How do we raise our numbers back from 4% back up to 14, 15% where we were? We have to confront Chinese, Japanese, Russians, mobsters, whatever they are.
Mm-hmm.
You took our property by hook or crook, or whatever. Are you in the coalition of people of color? Are you in the coalition of righting wrongs here in San Francisco? If Mayor London Breed won our votes, will you hold a truth and confession meeting where people come and say, yeah, we did this, developers did this, yes, this, ex-mayors did this, yes, ex-supervisors did this, and tell the truth of how you depopulated the black community in San Francisco? And then we can start reflecting in South Africa why we can't do that here. How did we get here? Because it wasn't by accident. Black people did not go from 15% down to 4, 5, 6% by accident.
It's three. Right. I think it's 3% right now.
So you have to confront the people who did it. You have to ask them, are you willing to correct what has been done? And with all, I travel around all of San Francisco. There are for sale signs on everything: storefronts, buildings, homes, etc. People are moving out. And you know why they're moving out?
Yeah.
It's not the crime. Crime has always been here.
Yeah, it's not a crime.
Police problems, high taxes, that's not why they're moving out. They're moving out because what left with black people is the very reason why they moved here.
What left with black people?
Where when black people left, what they took with them is the very thing is what made San Francisco the place to be. The culture, the popping, the headline, like what we do, the
We don't have
energy
that
we bring.
anymore.
We don't have that. You don't go down to Fillmore because you want to party with black people.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't want to
Have a
party
good time.
in jazz clubs where it's mostly black people that's inventing this new thing.
Right.
If you go to a jazz club, it's SF Jazz. It's
Right.
nice glass windows, white people in fur coats going to say, oh, I like that, by some white guy who's playing jazz.
Wow, right.
That's cool for that. But if you really want the atmosphere that was created by black people when they was creating jazz, bring their asses back.
Right.
Give them a spot. Don't give it to them. Like allow them to buy and have.
Right.
Buy and have and own.
Yeah.
Don't just let them lease and rent stuff to us.
Well, you know, I've seen how the Chinese are very crafty.
Let me stop you right real quick.
Yeah.
It's one thing we have to avoid is looking at them and saying we got to be like them or do what they do, right? But we can't.
Yeah.
The reason why Chinese people have what they have
Yeah.
is because at one time they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
They were forced to live where they were and they suffered a lot. But the reason why their fortunes have changed is because China has changed. China was nothing at one time.
Yeah.
And when China rose in respect internationally, they were then able to also funnel resources to their Chinese people all over the world. And now they have exploded. So in order for us to be like the Chinese did, we will have to what? Have a nationality, connect with a home base in Africa, make sure that country rises up independent of white colonialism and imperialism, and then that country will rise up with respect, and everybody around the world will respect their descendants wherever they are, and their descendants will be able to buy and have and build. That's the way it works. You name me one poor country in the world that is disrespected and show them in America thriving. You won't have it.
Right.
You're not going to see it. The only people in this country that thrives are people from countries,
Yeah.
from nations
Yeah.
that are thriving.
Right.
You can't say a word about Israelites, and they are committing genocide in front of the entire world.
Right.
Why? Because they're thriving in Israel.
Right.
They get billions of dollars from the United States. They have a dome protecting them from bombs. Like they're thriving. They're using our taxpayers' money to fund their lavish lifestyle. You know where our taxpayer money that goes to them also do?
Yeah.
Propaganda in other countries to make sure that anti-Semitism isn't violent. So
Right.
they take your money, give it to other countries to make sure their country's protected. So there's a lot of work to be done. It's not going to be done overnight. It's not going to be done just because we open up a barbershop or a dance studio or make another record. We don't even own our music.
We don't.
We don't own rock and roll. We don't own blues. We don't own jazz. We don't own hip hop. We don't own nothing that we created. And so if we don't come together and say enough is enough, London Breed, you don't get our votes until you acknowledge the black community and its agenda. It's a political agenda that we have to have
Yeah.
as one people. So it's called the black agenda. This is what we want. And if you can't deliver that, we're going to pick somebody who does. And it doesn't matter what color skin they have.
Exactly.
I love London Breed.
Yeah.
I support her and I will vote for her no matter what, because there is nobody else that's going to do anything for
Right.
us. But moving forward, Mayor Brown, London Breed, Cheryl Davis, Malia Cohen, Vice President of the United States, if these people are in position of complete power, does not help us rise up, why are we voting for them?
Because that we take back with Obama. What did he do for the black people? But we were so happy to put him there for 2 years. And just a soft-spoken.
That's a huge story. If you don't know his true backstory, you'll never understand why he became the president of the United States. First of all, he's not black. He identifies as black,
Right.
black American. He's Kenyan, and whatever his mama is.
Yeah.
I don't know what his white side is, what nationality they are, but he's not black. He doesn't come from slavery.
Right.
He comes from Kenya.
He has a nationality.
He has a nationality, what gives him human rights. Then we look at who was he raised by, not his father. So he is more white than he is black,
Right.
because he was raised white by white people. Where did he go? He lived in Hawaii, he lived in Singapore or wherever, Malaysia, wherever. He lived all over. And so when he got into Harvard, it wasn't because he had affirmative action. It wasn't because he came from slave descendants and somebody said, oh, we're going to give you a shot. It's because his white side said, we want him in Harvard.
Right.
And did you know that his mother, who you don't hear much about, was married to someone in the Malaysia, that area, I can't remember what country, and his stepfather was connected to Bush 1 when he was the CIA director. They had a relationship. And that's how Obama was targeted or selected to be the first black president of the United States, because his agenda was to make sure that rich white folks kept it moving. When the financial crisis came down, who did he bail out? Bankers, car dealers. Not one black barbershop got some money from it.
Right.
I mean, let's be real about it, right?
Right.
How many black institutions, even though we don't really have any, except nonprofits and political movements,
Yeah.
like NAACP or something. But what black institution did we have? We don't have Motown no more. We don't have Robert Johnson, the Johnson Empire. He sold that out, So what industry, black industry, did he bail out? None. He bailed out his white counterparts. And you think that America that we see today, and right before he got elected with Bush 2, and then Biden and Trump, do you think that these white folks that put those men in office really put a black man in office for 2 terms that was working on behalf of poor black folks?
Right.
No, he was put in office for 2 terms
Mm-hmm.
because he was doing the work of white people.
Right.
That's it and that's all. He had a beer summit when Professor Gates was harassed from going in his own house by a white cop. So he sat down and had a beer. Why didn't you present legislations to stop that from ever happening?
Right.
That was your chance.
Right.
So you have to see, when Reverend Isaiah Wright, I think his name, the pastor of his church that he was going to, so he could be black, as soon as they said something about that, what'd he do? Oh, I'm not going to that church no more. So people are known by what they do, not what they say.
Right.
So we're asking our leaders today that are of skin like ours,
Right.
are you going to stand up for us or are you not? And they can't say, they're going to say, well, what am I standing up for? If we don't have a black agenda signed off by major leadership in our city, state, and nation, they don't never have to do anything for us. The people who give them agenda is BlackRock, Blackstone, the Republicans, the white Democrats, the LGBTQ, the Chinese, the Italians. They have an agenda for what they want, and they say, here it is, and here's some money.
Right.
Yeah.
We ain't gave London Breed 2 cents. We did, because I was in Oakland when she was doing some fundraising at black people's houses. So I do know that black people do donate to her campaign, but they don't follow it with an agenda.
Yeah.
Here's some money, and here's what I want. All politicians are bought and paid for.
You're right.
If you're not buying them, you're not getting nothing.
Right.
So I was mad with London last year. Remember when the president came, they never acknowledged even a phone call. To be like, hey, we have an African president and we have a black mayor. They never acknowledged. When we followed up, Reverend Brown called and said, well, I got to the bottom of it and this is why they're not going to acknowledge him. They said he's homophobic. Our country is. And I said, we're Kenyans, we've been here in San Francisco for years.
Right.
And the way he got in there, Kenyans and a lot of African countries are Christian based, so they have this colonial whatever mindset. So the way he got into power was through churches. The Christians put him there. So there's no way he can sign legislations for LGBT.
Uh-huh.
But Mwangi identifies as LGBT and he runs one of the biggest organizations in Kenya. The president allowed the LGBT organizations to be registered undercover. You know, you can't just go out there and announce people are gonna lynch him. But he allowed it to, you know, if we were homophobic and we are anti-LGBT, he will never agree. But if you have an LGBT organization, you're allowed to register legally in Kenya. So even when we were doing the sister city, they said you have to make sure you include the LGBT organization. You know, we have to agree with San Francisco policies. We put in the proposal. We had to put in the board of directors and make sure we have some who identify. So we have a meeting again tomorrow for them to approve. But the Chinese, a few months later, the Chinese APEC happened. The Chinese president came here. Is China gender affirming? It's not fair. They're not. Is it? She even just traveled to China.
Right.
And she needs my vote.
Oh snap! She did.
We allow. Yeah, I'm like, China is homophobic, and they're not gender affirming. It's a worst country ever. You know, so we're being punished. Not because we are, I mean, our percentage, I'm sure there's a few Africans in San Francisco, we are not numbered here. But honestly, the real cancer of San Francisco is China. And I have a problem and we need to figure out now, Reverend Brown wants everybody to vote for her. I'm like, yes, she's a black man. But who is looking at this whole global whatever? And this professor, the one in Palo Alto, said, it is Africa that is going to rescue San Francisco. It is Africans that are going to rescue the black community because it's been years, they have suffered a lot. Even for us to get the little things we get, it is because of the African Americans who have suffered a lot for us to even come and enjoy the benefits of the little stuff that we've been able to get. But the energy is gone, and that is why sometimes they have to, you know, partner with Chinese and just be like, all right, do whatever, at least we have the 60 million from Dream Keepers, this is what we can enjoy right now. But are they worth 60 million? No. They're worth even more. But China is coming in very aggressive. Look at law. It's the Chinese who are the Asian, they're the ones who are dominating that school that behaves like a private school. And the black kids are just a little bit of a percentage over there. There's a black principal who cannot even overcome that, you know. It just so much, I feel bad for the black community. So even with this sister city, I said we need a strategy undercover. When you look at how China worked, even in Kenya, when they brought us, oh yeah, we are getting the railway built. We are building roads for you, sponsored by China. They did not bring us good citizens. They brought us all their prisoners in China, right?
Oh, really?
They're the ones who came. And look, they impregnated our women. They did a lot of whatever. But right now we have a lot of, you know, Kenyan kids.
Right.
Yeah, we have
And
a
I
lot
heard
of
that the roads were built with such cheap material that in time they would start to fold on itself and roll up.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
So you're right. The Chinese people are the new imperialists.
They are.
And that's not being racist towards everyday Chinese people. We're talking about the government of China.
Right.
Yeah.
They are coming in behind the vacuum that will be left of white supremacy. And if we're not careful, we will be under Chinese supremacy.
Look at San Francisco. Go to the city hall here. Who is marrying each other? You're like, oh my God, this is brother, sister. Marrying each other in San Francisco every day. You walking through, there's somebody like, Wahanya, watch out. I'm like, you can't even speak. Go even center here. Whatever after school program. Most of the ones are the ones who are running this after school program. Go to the housing. There's a resource housing tomorrow, this weekend. They're the ones who are taking over the housing, whatever. You need this, you need that. They have hooked up their people. Then over here, then you know what the strategy they used? they got all their prisoners out and they sent them to go build roads and whatever. So they have mastered, they're the ones who are now working in government offices in Kenya. They've taken up our markets. The traders are complaining. They're like, oh, why are we importing food from China? We have our fresh fish that the government is not even sponsoring. But we can export like fish, preserved fish for 2 years, and they don't even eat that fish. They eat our fresh fish, and then they sell it cheap, and it has preservatives, so we have a lot of cancers, and the government is not seeing anybody like paid money to sell our people. And then there's just like so much. Spiritually, they took our culture. We never used to have churches. All these San Francisco trees, they interbred our spiritual trees that were bringing wealth. The trees were reacting. I think there's a protest. The people are like, why did they bring all these trees over here? But they knew why. If you look at the trees around, oh my God, we've been learning a lot. And then when we went, we were with Mwangi at the UN in Switzerland. We saw how they called facing Mount Kenya, and they talked about why Kenya is very special and all that. Mount Kenya is very, very powerful. Obama went there and faced the mountain before he became the president. Why? The King Charles he went there because right now the Kenyans are waking up. We've gone back to our spirituality, and they took away our culture, gave us the Bible, taught us how to pray with our closed eyes, and as soon as we opened our eyes, we had the Bible and they had our land.
Right.
And yeah, they've been teaching us so much. So what was I going to? At the UN, we went behind the UN in Geneva. Oh my God, they just like so much. That's why they use the red flag, the red cross. You know, all this, there's just like so much happening. So Kenyans are being taught to go back to how we used to worship God, and you know, and we're gonna take over. So they brought their beautiful women. They're like, oh, we have massage parlors. Those are brothels to intermarry with all these Africans and the white folks here, and they get their citizenships. You know, and then they were taking all these English names, and you know, right now you order Uber, there's a Chinese who's gonna come pick you up. They can't even say hi. They're just gonna use the Uber app. They drop you wherever you're going.
Right.
And then look at they have the housing programs. Yeah, we're gonna give you money, first time home buyer programs. There's the East-West Bank. They have the Chinese banks. You know, if you apply for a loan, they give you, if you're a Chinese, you get even 1%. If you're wherever, you're gonna get it at a higher whatever. We need our own black banks over here. We can get those free interest, whatever, 1%. We're gonna have to figure out how they did not get into. I was telling my friend, I was like, man, with this Sister City, we just need to work it out. Figure out all these people who are in jail. They're not in jail because they're smart. Yeah, if we can figure out, oh my God, can we get people who did bank frauds and now they're jailed for life because they took $100 million or whatever? They need to be released, and they need to come and work in Wells Fargo and East-West Bank here, so they can figure out how to transfer the money back to the community. You know, you don't bring Christians here. You bring people who know the system. And that is how you conquer. You get to learn how the Chinese work and whatever, and we take over. Start putting those CFOs who are locked in, put them at City Hall to be in charge of accounting. And you tell them, this is what we want, we are taking over everything from China. All the marriages that will be coming here, and you see they're Chinese, cancel them. You want to see Africans getting married to Chinese, get that Chinese citizenship, you too. Yeah, because I feel like we are putting people who are not, I don't know, and I think Trump is winning because of he learned, he's a gangster, he's learned the game. I mean, his first wife died, buried him in his golf course, and he's never paid taxes after that. He said it's a graveyard. You know? It takes a thief to catch a thief. But, you know, so sometimes when I go into all this and I'm looking at all these good people, whatever, I'm like, how are you going to handle the mob, the gangsters who are taking over? Chinese are ruthless.
Right, right.
And we're being nice to them, being ethical, and then they give us the Bible quote. I'm like, no.
Right,
Yeah.
Right.
You handle them the way they come. So, I'm still trying to figure out how we're gonna take over. But we need gangsters in that city hall if we are to take over.
Right,
We need
right.
smart cookies.
That's why I'm in there.
Right.
Huh? You got in there?
Yeah, I'm in City Hall. I'm on the Sheriff Department Oversight Board. And I hope one day to be a supervisor.
You should.
I am.
But-
They tried to put me in jail for some false charges. I said, come on, please.
Oh, and by the way,
I got out of that, and now they don't know what to do with me. What do we do with this guy?
I've been getting a lot of calls. I think I have like three or four Africans who have the same issue. So I think it is an agenda.
It is.
It is an agenda.
Look at Bill Cosby. He tried to buy NBC. All of a sudden, 70 women come out after him. I'm not saying he didn't do anything.
Right,
I'm just saying 70 people waited until right now to say you did something to me.
Right, right.
Maybe he didn't, but I'm just saying, look at Diddy and everybody. Like the best way to kill a black man,
Scandal.
it used to be, oh, he whistled at a white woman. Now, with the Me Too and everything, I'm not saying that women don't deserve protection. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying they are using that now to just wipe you out off the planet Earth.
Yeah.
All they got to do is say he did something to me. They don't even have to prove it.
Right, right.
There's a
The
guy.
complaint is
Right.
evidence.
There's a Kenyan, there's
Right.
a Tanzanian guy who is trying to run. He's like, oh my God, this guy is after me. The CIA. He was jailed for no reason, and they feel like if he sues them, he's gonna get a lot of money. So they put him in just to make sure he never. He was even in the military prison. He came. I was like, oh, the only organization I know that can train like NAWCP. They don't wanna help him. I'm like, NACP is like a local FBI for the government.
We should talk after this. I've mapped out a way to solve some of this.
Oh, I have seen so much.
Yeah.
You know, I went through the Martin departments there where I lost my job because I refused to evict black people. Then, man, if you look at how the government works, God damn it, they cannot fuck me up right now. So they have, you see, like the Open Door Legal, they give you like free resources if you have an issue. Those are local free resources for them to know what is going on in the community. You can never get justice through this free attorney. You need to get a good attorney who is gonna get paid to solve your case if you really need justice from anything related to the government. Open Door Legal is there for housing, and then look at the issue: housing, immigration, civil cases, and they report you back, you know. And then, man, there is nothing under the sun I've not seen. And I work with incarcerated folks who. When they come out, they need to re-enter and get into housing and all that. And I had to like write whatever that I had to write for them to get housing, because if I say the truth, this person is not gonna get it.
Right.
And then the only thing they can be able to get is either they go to the project, the hood. That is the only way you can send them. And then you're sending them like, this person came out of jail. How is he gonna be safe over there? It's just the system. So. Then they give you a probation officer, and then they have some real estate companies here in San Francisco, SF Real Estate, and they're like, oh, we can help you. Yeah, we don't have, even if you do a credit check and, you know, there's some offenses, we can let go, some we can't. They give you housing. That is for the government to know where you're staying.
Right, keep
You know?
track.
Yeah, to keep track. I'm like, it's just like a freaking system. Like, we need to get out of this hamster wheel.
So I talked to Mario B, and I talked to another brother last night, Dr. Terrell Irving, and I talked to the Archbishop, and we want to put on a Black August event this August around the 21st, maybe the weekend before, because that's a Wednesday. We want to, even though that's the day kids get out of school early, because we want the kids there too, because they need to hear the message, right? So we're gonna figure out the exact date. But Black August is a month in which, when we were incarcerated, we fast for every day during the month of August. And on the 21st, we celebrate George Jackson, who was a very important figure in liberating some of the atrocities that were happening to black people while in prison. and he got killed. He got shot and killed along with other people who were rising up for rights in prison. And that extended outside the wall, and it became more and more. So we don't celebrate that out here. We celebrate Juneteenth, a day when we were so stupid we didn't know we were free. Please. That really, we needed 3 days to figure out, a week to figure out, but anyway, that's what Biden gave us for voting for him, a holiday, so we don't have to go to work. We need more than that, right?
Right.
So Black August is about consciousness, unification of the people, strengthening them with discipline and focus, and having an agenda. And one of the things that I wanted to present during Black August is creating our own political party. No Democrat, no Republican, no Independent, no Green.
Black Party.
The Black Party, man.
Yeah.
And if you want our vote to you to get into office, you need to work with us. That's the only way we're gonna get it. And those people that don't wanna come to the Black Party, don't come. You will,
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah.
We just have to get it started. We have to show our people that we have something that works, and they'll come. We
Right.
have to show them leadership. We have to show them strength. We have to show them power. And Black August does that. It unifies all the fractions. It unifies all the communities. It unifies all the religions to come and say, this, if you are a Black mother, if you're a Black barber, if you're a Black politician, if you're a Black cab driver, if you are a Black, and that means African, Black, Caribbean, and the diaspora, right? This is what we're
Right.
talking about.
Right.
And we just gotta get it started. So Black August, we'll talk after this, but we gotta have that.
We need that. We
We
need
gotta
that
have
because I've been so against this African Americans. We need to stop those labels and just put one black color.
That's it.
Yeah, one African
And
American.
I don't know what the word black in your language is defined in English, but in Sudan, the word black is aswad. And it don't mean dead, it don't mean blackballed, it don't mean Negro, it don't mean nigger, it
Yeah.
means the originator, the authority as in the black robe of a judge. It means power.
Yeah.
The word black in America means necro, which
Right.
comes from the Greek word that means dead.
Right.
Necrophiliac, that's where you get negro or negro in Spanish. It's the
Wow.
same word that came from the same etymology. So we want to, when you see the word, when you say the word black,
Yeah.
we don't want you to think of Black America, Black.
Right.
Negro. We want you to think Aswad,
Power.
Swahili,
Yeah.
word black that means power. Kemet, their word black means from the black sticky mud of the Nile Valley.
Right.
Like we want to be attached to a word black that means power
Right.
from our source.
Right.
And so you have to teach that. It has to come in their ears because words are powerful. But you can say the same word, but if you think of it from a white person's perspective,
Yeah.
it means your destruction.
Right.
If you think it from your own people's perspective, it
Yeah.
means your empowerment.
Right.
So we have to change our language. We have to, and that's why it is important to learn Swahili. Swahili is a language that was an international trade.
Mhm.
And so it doesn't matter where you come from, Africa.
Right.
And yes, it does have Arabic from Arabs, but
Yeah.
the original Arabs are Bantu, from
Yeah.
the Bantu language of Africa. We
Mhm.
taught the light-skinned Arabs Arabic
Right.
and how to be Arabs. They took it and ran with it, just like these white Jews have taken
Right.
that name and ran with it to do what they want with it. So we just have to educate our people who we are. And
Yeah,
that
we
we're
don't
in this
know
land
ourselves.
first, and we're here to take it back.
Right, right.
And you can have your houses in your community if that's really what you want, because all we have to do is come together somewhere
Yeah.
Somewhere.
and stay unified. And wherever we at, that's gonna be the place to be, and they're gonna leave San Francisco to go over there where we at right there. They
Right.
always do. And that's why I said, even in San Francisco, I told the people, I said, be patient. Be patient, save your pennies, because when it dips, as it's dipping now, and I told them this during the pandemic, I said, save your pennies. You holler about gentrification and all this. I said, don't worry about it. Save your pennies. When it dips, buy.
Right.
Be ready to take it. Be ready when the opportunity comes.
Yeah.
Stop worrying about it. But we are, woo, woo, woo. So let's keep the main focus the main focus. What is our main focus as a people? Unification.
Yeah.
That was what they did to separate us. They took our names, they took our identity, they took our religion to separate us.
Yeah.
Like the Tower of Babel. They changed our language to French, to German, to
Everything.
English, to
Yeah.
whatever. They didn't want us to speak Swahili. They didn't want us to speak Arabic.
No.
Arabic was, before the United States, Arabic was the language you learned your medical degree in. It was the language you learned your mathematics in. It was the language you learned so much of science and technology because the Moors ruled the world for 800 years. And slowly but surely they started to translate that into English and the Greek and the Latin and European languages, and now we have what we have. So what is the solution?
But then also
Go back to what we were doing.
yeah, but
Put it in our language.
the elders in Kenya, the Israel government is trying to give all this. We have 12 very, very old guys. They have like very long dreadlocks, silver. They live in the mountain. There are 12 of them, with the 12 tribes, whatever. So they are saying we don't have a culture here. We forgot our, that's what they took. So when you look at the white people, they have the four energies. The fire. White people, they're more the fire, so they're very good with anything to do with fire. And then the Chinese and air. That's why they do Tai Chi, whatever. So black people, they're more into water. And our power is right here, Hechi. But there's a portion we can go get the whatever. So we need to do whatever used to do with the water, and after that we're just gonna see the Chinese moving, and then we have to talk to the natives, and they have to speak to the land and give us the soil legally to be here, because these guys are hiding. They have all this funding to go drink next to the casinos. They moved all the Indians. They're upset with the Alcatraz. Like, you cannot go anywhere where these people are hurting. They tax the land. So that's why there's all this commotion. So these natives are the ones who are few remaining. We need to, there's a ritual they do, and they will tell you what they need. But I've not seen any of the black community leaders engaging the Native Americans to allow us to be here legally. Once we were human trafficked here, yes, but have we even asked for permission to be here? Exactly. All they need is to touch that soil, speak into it, we give them whatever they will ask, and after that you will see the Chinese just living on their own. They say to don't fight to the altars, and that is how the Mau Mau's got rid of the British, with no guns. With no guns. Right now,
Let's do it. Yeah,
so they've been, and those guys, they were told never to talk. This is the time they're speaking. This is the time they're telling us what we need to do. There's the leader of the Boy Scout movement, he was called Lord Baden-Powell. Boy Scout is like a huge movement right here. When he died, he said he wants to be buried facing Mount Kenya. You can Google that. His coffin, his graveyard faces Mount Kenya. He knows the power. His wife, when she died in London, she was brought back to Kenya and buried on top of him, facing Mount Kenya. And now this is the time they're realizing all that. And when you look at the Black Lives Matter, the green, blue, whatever, it's the same flag as Kenya, with the shield, and people don't understand how powerful that flag is. And San Francisco is losing the grip right now. Oakland, they already took their name, San Francisco Oakland Airport. And now San Mateo, they're like, wait a minute. You're not even in, that airport is not in San Francisco, it's in San Mateo.
Right.
So they're taking over.
Right.
So it's dipping, and I think the black people are gonna take it. But I don't know whatever that is happening. And then when we talked about August with number 8, the infinity of coming together, we just need people who are woke, but we cannot do anything without the Native Americans.
Let's fight them Black August. Let us offer to do the ceremony, give us our thing during Black August. Oh man, that'd be amazing. Let's talk.
Yeah, so for this,
I didn't want to take over your host.
for Kijiji, that is all like, oh my God, with the programs that we have been doing, I really want to be specific. What is really, and then I like the fact that you actually gave me more clarity. The issues that are supposed to, help us without the discriminating aspect, that is going to help liberate us. I don't want just a non-profit like any other. And that's why I call it the Kijiji Africa. What are the smart goals towards the black agenda that we can be able to advance it too.
Yeah, yeah, we got, now that I've gone through, see, I had to go through that. At first I was like, what the? But I had to go through that to understand it from
Yeah.
a personal perspective. And now I can help other black men protect themselves from that type of smearing campaign.
Right. Everything happens for a reason.
And I would just offer yesterday by KPOO my own radio show this summer. So I don't have to just be a guest on somebody else's show or fill in. I'm
Awesome.
gonna get an hour for myself to
Oh,
do
wow.
what I wanna do. And I wanna empower black people, man.
Yeah.
Bring them in, what you
Real
got, what you
talk.
selling, what you doing. And push the agenda. Black power
Black power.
for all black people.
Right. So I need help with this SMART goal.
Right, right.
And then when you write your resume, the bio, how do you write the bio towards the SMART goals and, you know?
Well, no, it doesn't have to do that. It's all about just, again, honestly sharing so that we know, you know what I mean? Some of the experience that you have, some
Yeah.
of the, if you will, accolades, accomplishments, you know. It really makes me think of how we did, I don't know if you ever have to do it, but just someone asking you for a short bio. Hey, you know, who are you? Just let us know, you know, what you do, you know, where you come from, what are you know, the things you're trying to do. But just so that people know, you know, who you are. That's the biggest thing with that. But what's good, I let William know before you arrived that when we first did that assignment with the folks who started in February, it was a great opportunity for people to learn about the other people in the room, you know? It's like, oh, I didn't know, you know, didn't know you didn't know me, and so they got to share. But you guys already know each other, so that's already good too, you know what I mean?
Right.
But, you know, just I would say more in the form of like a short bio. You know, the things that we're really trying to just get an idea of is what we're about, you know, where we're coming from, where we're trying to go with our lives, but also with our organization.
I think it'd be a good idea if we could like form a study group, you know, pick a time throughout the week and just come together and help each other build on what we're doing.
I agree.
I mean, we could do it at this time if we, you know, finish early or if we have time left over.
Right.
And use that time to just study with each other,
Yeah.
work on some things. So I know that inspires me, like
Yeah.
when I work with a team.
I hear that. We could actually talk about it some more tomorrow because we don't have the virtual meeting. But yeah, whatever, you know, we're doing, again, a big thing is connecting with one another, but of course also helping one another, so I'm totally for that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to, I think Naya sent you my resume. I just need like bring all this together, and right now I'm just confused about the programs. Yeah, I don't know if you had a chance to look at the website. It doesn't have clarity. And then also for San Francisco, sister city, it's gonna be approved. We need to open a non-profit specifically for that. But then it goes again towards the Black agenda, where we just
Right.
don't focus it. It's just not a Kenyan thing. We want to see what are the programs that will really benefit the African American, you know, community. Now that we identify our weaknesses, our strengths.
Right.
Yeah, and now I'm gonna work towards the Black agenda is what is going to be on my head.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the website?
www.kijiji, KIJIJI -Africa with a K
Okay.
.org. So I feel like it just everywhere, having a hard time. Now we got approved for Grow with Google to provide Coursera and digital tech skills.
Right.
So that's one of the programs, which is I'm not a good writer, so I need to like put it in there. have an intake wherever I need a program manager to manage that program. I got someone teaching Swahili. So Swahili is for the ones who really want to indulge in it, but also for the ones who are traveling to Kenya, at least, or anywhere in Africa, at least you can learn some basic Swahili.
Right.
How do we program this, and then writing the grants. We have our kids here, they're very good in math, but they have a hard time because they have like Spanish teacher with an accent, teaching algebra. Also, I've been trying to see how the city can give us a Bureau of African Affairs.
Ooh.
Because when we have mental issues and then you're given a white person telling you to go do yoga, they don't
Which is
understand
nice.
our issues. So
That's
we
true.
need Afrocentric mental health. How many black psychologists do we have? Who understands our post-traumatic colonial
Do you
syndrome?
know how hard it is just to find a black doctor in San Francisco?
Right.
When I had insurance and I wanted to go to Kaiser and I was looking for the doctor I can choose,
Yeah.
the closest thing I came, at first I had Brandy. She was black, she was a female, and then she went on maternity leave. When I had to find another one,
Yeah.
I was even looking for a black male doctor. None.
None.
So I had to settle for a black female doctor. I prefer a black male doctor, but I had to settle for a black. And then when she was gone, I had to go to a Muslim doctor, like an Indian or Arab, somebody.
Yeah.
I can't remember what she was, but I'm like, my God. And then I looked for a black dentist. None.
None.
But I met a black dentist associated, like he was the president of the Black Dentist Association. I was like, where y'all at?
Yeah.
Because I can't find you. I don't want to give my money to anybody but
Yeah.
my people. And you can't even find them in San
I had
Francisco.
even reparations that they're gonna give, but they know the money will still go back to them. How do we get that money and have it stay in the black community?
So we might not be able to work through the commission on reparations. We have to work with each other. So, because once they give us the money,
Yeah.
then it's on us, how we spend it. So we have to start now. That's why Black August is so important. We bring these people together and we say, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to give money to the black people from San Francisco.
Yeah.
And if we don't have the infrastructure to keep it in our community so that we can feed you, so that we can do banking with you, so that we can do schooling with you, so that we can do healing with you, you're just going to give it back to somebody else.
Right.
So, and when they were talking about the Safeway that has already been bought by another company over in the Fillmore, I said, don't worry about that Safeway. That's not our problem. Oh no, where are we going to? You mean to tell me you're not going to buy food from somewhere? You can order Grubhub if you have to, right?
Yeah.
So that's not our problem. That's past. That was 10 years ago that we should have been working on that. Right now, today, who do we have in place? How do we put in place contractors, developers, investors, real estate agents? How do we put black people from those industries in place together so that the next time, which is going to be a next time,
Right.
we're ready to buy, develop, and start creating our black community.
Right.
Stop focusing on right now. If it's a thing right now, it's already too late. There's nothing we can do. We're not in
Right.
position. We're not in position to fight 100,000 man army.
Right.
We only got 2 people.
Right.
So let's start building our army, because it only gonna take 10,000 of us to defeat anybody. I don't
Right.
care if they have 1 million. It only is gonna take 10,000 black people.
Right.
So let's build our 10,000 army, and the next time a war comes, and I mean war as in financial,
Yeah.
medical, whatever, we'll be ready.
Right.
And this won't be a problem. It won't be an issue. It's just plug and play.
Right.
We cannot fight them on their playing field if we're not developed
We
to
have
play
to
on that field.
organize, Yeah.
You can't play basketball on a football field. You can correct me if I'm wrong. You can shoot the basketball through the uprights of the goal, the football goal. You're still not gonna get 2 points. They're gonna be
Right.
like, you're in the wrong game.
Right.
So if we're not playing on their level, on their fields, on their courts, we need to go somewhere else. We need to do something else.
Right.
Right,
Stop beating ourselves over the head like, ooh, no. Get yourself together. That's what our native religions are, ways of life. We don't even call it religion. Religion means Rhea, which is a European god. Rhea, legions, her army. That's what the word religion comes from.
Yeah.
European gods with their legions of followers. We have ways of life, whether we're on Mount, this one or in the valley there. If we practice our way of life, we prosper. But if we follow their religion, we die.
We did.
Come on, man. I'm not bashing Islam, Christianity, Judaism, or anything. But if you follow the European version of that,
Right.
just like there's European jazz. We created jazz,
Right.
but there's a European jazz too.
Right.
It don't have the same healing powers as John Coltrane jazz, or Parker, or Monk, or,
Right.
It don't have the same sound and healing.
Right.
And I'm in with this on the sound. The record labels, they know that there is a sound in music that hypnotizes you, that gets you on a certain wavelength, right?
Yeah.
And then they put that bullshit music words in there, and now you're following on that wavelength, that information that's being fed to you.
Right.
They don't even have to play it for you no more. It's gonna be in your head playing by itself. When do we get that same frequency
Yeah.
and infuse black empowerment education?
Right. You need to
That's
wake
it.
up.
Stop playing. They know the secrets. They hire psychologists. They hire people who are trained to study human behavior.
Right. And
They
now
come
we
for
have
you.
AI.
And they do not care no more. They have turned in their sheets and hoods for
Right.
badges, for badges, law enforcement badges, for
Right.
podcasts, for news anchors.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have to wear sheets no more. And what we gonna do? Now, I'm 54 in August. I'll be 54. So I don't have a problem with not living to 55. I'm just saying that, like, I'm just putting that out there. So I don't tell people to do what I do.
Yeah.
Because you can't be afraid of dying.
Yeah.
We were all born to die.
Right.
Some of us don't even make it out the womb before we die, right?
Right.
So we were all born to die.
Right.
I want to die with the legacy of fighting for my people.
Right.
So I don't tell people to fight, but I'm not trying to win our battle with the ballot.
Yep.
I'm trying to win our battle with the bullet,
Yep.
period.
Right.
And they're ready for you. The Montana kids up there in Montana, they
Yeah.
know how to shoot.
Oh, right.
The kids in New York, in New Jersey, in Miami, in Southern California,
Right.
in the Bay Area, in the Redwoods, in Humboldt, all the places where the white folks gather,
Right.
their kids don't have a problem with knowing how to shoot a gun.
Right.
Right.
So I try to tell Rudy Corpus of the United Players, stop trying to buy back all the black guns out of our community. Teach them how to shoot them right. Teach them how to get a license. Teach them how to get it registered.
Who's
Teach
doing
them-
that? There's nobody doing that, huh? Like
No.
teaching.
Well, there is.
You-
There is a community that takes our kids during the summer breaks and teach them how to shoot,
Who
bow and
that? I need
arrows,
to check my.
fire, everything.
I need to check my boys.
We need to increase it. We need to make that bigger. We do. We got something to talk about.
Man.
But for real, like, what we do here, empowering us to understand how to move in the financial system, the nonprofit world,
Yeah.
the corporate world, like, this is good, right?
Right.
And that's why us helping us to get this done.
Man, if
right?
I had this 7 years ago, I'll be a mogul right now.
You're still gonna be a mogul.
Right.
It's just a
I
matter of
learned the hard way.
It don't take but 3 to 5 years. You just gotta be focused.
Right.
And since there's so much to solve,
Right.
we have to solve the first stuff first. And the first stuff is the 2 golden rules.
Right.
Because a wise man once said, if you follow the first 2, the rest will be easy. So the first 2 golden rules is stop following white man's God
Right.
and worship the one creator
Right.
and love that creator,
Yeah.
right? And then the second rule is to love each other.
Right,
If we follow those two rules, our own creator who created us,
right,
and love us
right.
no matter what,
Yeah,
we ain't gonna murder nobody. We're not gonna steal from each other. We're not gonna commit adultery with it. You know what I mean? All the things that causes us harm, we're not gonna do because of the love
right.
that we have for our creator and each other.
Yeah, you
Those
know,
are
I
the
learned,
two rules.
I learned in our olden days, the farmers used to like get their produce and put it on the streets. It was like storehouses, so that way poor people who are working on the streets will have food. They will put it on the streets, so there was no stealing, there was nothing.
But you don't steal when
Now-
when it's provided for.
Someone going to Safeway to get banana, they're being arrested.
Not even, they just
So I
push
did
that.
want to just interject. I know that I did just look at your website, and it is great,
Yeah,
but it covers everything.
it does.
And in meaning art, housing, counseling, education, everything.
Yeah,
You can't do everything.
I know.
Can't do everything, right?
Yeah.
So and we asked this question to you too, but like, what is the thing that you and your gifts, talents, your connections, the one thing that you can do, one, what we talked about with the SMART goals is, what's attainable, what's relevant right now? What can you guys accomplish now? What service can you provide right now? And focus on that, grow that, hone that, improve it and strengthen it, be great at it. In time, you could go, well, we have time
Yeah,
to also do this too, because we handled this, and now we're getting funding, we're getting help, people are looking at us to provide this particular service.
right.
This is the thing that we're great at. Now other people say, well, can you guys also possibly, but if it works with us, we'll give
Yeah.
it some energy. But if not, we're just gonna stay in this lane,
Right.
So I'm sure there's examples all over the world about that. But again, I love that you want to cover all this,
Yeah, right,
all of that. But you got to find the thing that you can do, like you said, here and now, this month, this year,
Yeah.
right? This next couple of years. This is what we can focus our energy on and accomplish things with. Again, you mentioned, people around you have certain skills, or they could help you with this. Focus on making those things work rather than, okay, you do that and I'm gonna try to get these other 10 things done. It's like, let's just focus on one particular program, one particular service, and make that great.
Okay,
And the other services, like he was saying, you contract them out to other,
Partners.
yeah, you partner out.
You know
with
who you
them.
can talk to them. They do that already.
Yeah.
right.
Work with them. Now, we want to do it eventually, but they
Yeah.
already do it. Let them handle that, you know what I mean?
Right.
They do workforce stuff. They do the education stuff. We're gonna do this part.
Yeah,
And when you increase those other parts, what they do, so when you do want to do those, you say, oh yeah, here, and you just send them there.
Yeah.
You get the credit because you signed it up, but you send it to them, they do all the work, and boom. That's how
yeah,
the Rockefellers do it.
because it is mostly providing resources for the African diasporas.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know, oh, you could, these after school programs, this, all this whatever, but I also want to add the advocacy part of it, because we
You
are,
said focus? Say it again?
advocacy,
Advocacy.
Advocacy, huh?
yeah, we
Uh-huh.
want to add that, but do it correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything
Right.
that is going to bring the community, we have to be a kijiji, we have to be a village.
Right.
Yeah, so I just need that articulated, and then
Yeah.
so I'm just like everywhere.
Right. So again, we'll talk. So again, what we did call yesterday. I know you guys were busy yesterday.
Friday, I think I booked Friday,
Uh-huh.
for one-on-one,
Yeah.
so maybe I can get ready with the questions for that.
Yeah. Yep. And again, now that I know that, you know what I mean, now I can go, let me call, what's her name? Talk to and see who can really speak to that. Say, okay, how do you narrow it down? How
Yeah.
do you focus? I can definitely find, folks that can speak to that and help you with that too,
Right.
So that's good. Again, that's good. That's what's great what comes out today is just being able to learn. This is what's really hard for me. This is what I struggle with. So we can work on that.
Yeah, see, that's how I was like, oh my God, what is my goal? But, what I really want to focus was I don't want this now, another platinum profit just doing the same thing.
Mhm.
I like the fact that we actually had the conversation and I can focus on the SMART goals towards the Black agenda. So that we are not wasting time. You're doing something, and then like at least we have one goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, where there's some legacy.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. So yeah, we'll connect. You said Friday works. Did you guys talk about a time for Friday already?
Yeah.
10 a.m.
Was it what?